and welcome to my very first video ever. I thought that my very first video could be something that's probably on a lot of people's minds. It's that time of the year when the bikinis come out to play. And honestly, it can be a really touchy, intimidating subject for a lot of women, and I want to help you. I hope that this video really helps anybody who's looking to get rid of really stubborn belly fat. You know, just tighten things up down there. Nothing wrong with it. We all got fluff, and sometimes, at certain times of the year, you just want it gone. So that's why I'm here to help you and give you my tips and ways that really made a difference for me. So the first thing that I just want to say is that I don't want anybody to think that there is some shortcut into losing body fat. It really comes down to patience and proper training and nutrition. And I know that that sucks. There's so many things that go around the internet and social media, like detoxes and like slim tea and waist trainers and all these things. I don't want anybody to actually believe that those are going to be shortcuts for you, because they're not. I started getting into fitness when I was 14, 15, and I'm 18 now, so it's not like I have a huge amount of experience on my back, but I definitely have learned a couple things about trying to get my abs to poke through. And yeah, I was that girl on her bedroom floor doing sit-ups every night thinking that she'd get a six-pack. We've all been there. You know what? That was probably great for my core strength, but in terms of actually making a difference, it didn't help so much. So I found that there are 3 really important things when it comes to getting rid of stubborn belly fat. Number 1, nutrition. This can be one of the most challenging aspects. Food can be a weakness for a lot of people because, you know, they're like, okay, I'm fine doing the training, I can follow a workout, like that's easy for me, I have no problem like going to the gym and whatever, but it's the nutrition that really gives me a hard time. So what I will say about nutrition, and I won't go into a lot of depth about it just because I don't want to keep you here all day, the ways that I found that making eating healthy a little bit more bearable came to me over time. The first thing that I want to mention about nutrition is that you don't want to put all the pressure on yourself that you're just gonna jump right into a completely healthy, clean diet. It's a process and it takes time. A healthy diet is completely attainable and your body will adjust with you. A couple things that I found really worked for me when starting to try to eat healthy was to slowly eliminate my bad habits or your weakness in terms of food, and mine was sugar. I loved sugar, especially as a child, like whew. I loved it a lot. Of course, I'm not gonna just go cold turkey and cut all the sugar out of my diet completely. By slowly taking whatever you know isn't good for you out of your diet is gonna make the first difference when you're adjusting to eating healthy again. So the next thing would be to make sure that you're getting a balanced meal. I used to have a lot of problem with eating just because I would just snack all the time and I wouldn't actually make a proper meal, and meal prepping actually became a really good thing for me, especially during school, just because I would always just come home and like crush 3 bowls of cereal, you know? Eating healthy doesn't have to be a chore, especially if you like the food that you're eating. I find that it's super effective if I make a list of vegetables I know I like. Not like broccoli. I can't do broccoli for some reason. It just doesn't work for me, so I'm not gonna put it on the list. So you can make a list of vegetables that you know you actually like to eat, a list of good carbs that you know you enjoy as well, like sweet potato or quinoa, and another list of proteins that you like and that you actually can eat. Depending on whatever diet you're on, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or you still eat meat, doesn't matter. A list of those things is perfect to have in front of you when deciding what you want to eat. So in that situation, you could be like, what should I make for dinner? Pick a vegetable, pick a starch, and pick some protein, and then you've got your meal. And it's just like a mix and match game, and that way it'll save you a lot of time. That way you will know that you're getting a healthy, balanced meal that you actually like to eat, and that's gonna start making a difference when you start eating healthy and you start enjoying it. One last thing I want to mention about nutrition is the truth about cheat meals. Keep in mind what it is. It's a cheat meal, not a cheat day. What I would suggest, honestly, when transitioning to a clean diet is to allow yourself a treat once a week. Whether it's a burger or some pizza, or a burger and a milkshake and some pizza. Whatever it may be, once a week, letting yourself indulge in whatever you really truly want and desire ever so greatly is actually going to make a huge difference in your progress in the long run in a positive way, because by allowing yourself this once a week, you're actually going to be keeping yourself sane. If you were to try to cut out everything bad for you for a solid 2 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it may be, like you're gonna crash and you're gonna cave. A cheat meal once a week is gonna keep you in line. And if that's what you need to do, some people feel like they don't even need one. I envy you, I really do. The second thing that I truly believe is the holy grail when it comes to fat burning is HIIT cardio. HIIT cardio stands for high intensity interval training. It's a training method of basically going at maximum effort for a certain interval of time followed by rest or active rest. So everybody's like, okay, I've heard of HIIT cardio. I know it burns a lot of fat, but like how? What's actually happening in your body that makes HIIT so much better than normal running? When you do HIIT cardio, your body is in a state of EPOC or EPOC, which stands for excessive post-oxygen consumption, meaning in that time where you're not at your maximum effort and you're in your active rest or your normal rest, you're breathing really heavy. So you're taking in a lot more oxygen than you would be if you were just running at a steady state. So like with any other weightlifting exercise, with sprinting or running or intervals at your maximum effort, there is going to be an anaerobic threshold and a lactic acid threshold. So you know when you're like going up the stairs or you're running and you're lifting weights and you physically can't do another one because it's so tight and so painful in your muscles, that is what lactic acid buildup is. If we didn't have it, actually, really bad things would happen because it's basically our muscles telling us that we're running out of oxygen and that we need to stop. So if we didn't have that lactic acid threshold, really bad things could happen. So with HIIT cardio, you're going to be reaching that anaerobic threshold and that lactic acid threshold, which is going to cause your body to make metabolic changes. So you probably remember in high school one thing about biology, and that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And you're like, why is that the only thing I remember? Well, I'll tell you, because it has to do with HIIT cardio as well. This is the only thing you remember, and it's actually going to come in handy right now. The mitochondria of your cells are what oxidize fat to produce energy, and energy is what you use to go on with your day and do all your bodily functions and all that good jazz. So the more mitochondria that you have in your cells is going to increase the oxidative capacity of your muscles. And so this is what HIIT does, is it helps you release all these mitochondria. So it's got tons of other benefits other than just fat burning. It'll improve your cardiovascular performance as well as your VO2 max, which are so good for your lungs. One thing to remember though is that your metabolism will adjust to energy intensity. And I'll just shout out the other obvious benefits out there. HIIT cardio is half the time than regular cardio. So you can get your session done in 30 minutes versus an hour and still obtain the fat burning benefits up to 24 hours after you complete the workout. And last but not least, the third thing when it comes to leaning out your tummy is definitely a killer ab workout. There are some ab exercises that I find more effective than others. In terms of making a difference in the actual muscular structure of your abdominals, I've included what I feel is the most effective ab workout that I have come across. I'm going to include everything about the exercises in the description box below. So thank you so much for watching my video, and if you want to see more videos like this, please let me know. Definitely subscribe if you would like. Quick little disclaimer about the ab workout. You might find it a little bit hard to laugh the next day. I would suggest doing some cobra stretches and rolling out the tum after you do the workout, if you were to do the workout. Anyway, here we go. So like any other workout, the very first thing you should always do is warm up. I did not film my warm up for you, but I did do 3 1-minute intervals of skip rope. For this workout specifically, anything that will get your heart rate up for around 5 minutes is ideal. Our very first exercise is hanging leg raises, and these are so good for developing your rectus abdominis, which is the main sheet of your abdominals. This can be classified as a more advanced exercise as your grip strength and your hamstring flexibility does come into play with it. A beginner's variation to this would be lying on the ground with your back completely flat and slowly raising your legs straight up as high as you can and slowly back down. An intermediate variation to this could be the regular leg raise machine where you just rest your elbows on the cushions and therefore you do not have to hang. One of the reasons why this exercise is so challenging is because you have to fight the momentum of your legs coming down and swinging backwards. So the tighter your core is, the more control you will have lowering your legs. Sometimes I will put a stool behind me just to stop my legs if I am swinging too much. I try to only rely on the stool when I know I'm really struggling, like around the end of my 3rd set. Try not to rely on the stool as much to stop your momentum because ultimately it should be your core muscles controlling you back down.
If your hamstrings are not flexible enough to begin, another variation you could do is just bringing your knees into your chest. We are doing 3 sets of 15. The next exercise is weighted oblique twists, and these are so good for defining your obliques. So one thing to remember with these is that the more you lean back with your torso, the harder it will be. So definitely challenge yourself with these. The more your torso is leaned back, the more tension there will be on your abs, so it'll be more effective the lower you go. The beginner's variation to this could be just sitting on the floor with your feet planted on the floor in front of you with your torso leaned back and twisting side to side. An intermediate's approach could be doing the same movement but with their legs actually raised in the air. Also, you do not need to start with a weight if you are not comfortable, only add it in if you want more of a challenge. Moving on to oblique extensions, these, I gotta say, have been a game changer when I started incorporating them into my routine. I definitely owe it to this exercise because I think it's the reason that I actually met my obliques for the first time. Make sure that your hips are parallel when doing this exercise, otherwise if they aren't aligned properly then it can put some stress on your back and it can actually feel quite awkward and painful. Next we are doing a knee-in mountain climber complex, and I realize now that probably not a lot of people will have access to these TRX bands, so if your gym does not have them, an exercise ball or a good pair of really slippery socks will work just as well. If you do have access to the TRX machine, definitely take advantage of it just because leaving your legs in a dead hang is going to create a lot more tension on your abs. We'll be doing 20 knee-ins directly into 20 mountain climbers for 3 sets. Our very last exercise is going to be cable elbow to knee crunches. These are an incredible exercise for toning your abs just because of the constant tension that the cable machine provides. I know lots of gyms have different equipment, so anything that you can use to strap to your foot is perfectly fine. I had a specific foot strap, but if you have one of those loops or the cable handle, that will totally work too. I did just notice that in the first time that I do it, I have my leg flat on the ground, and in this clip I've got my leg bent, so it really doesn't matter which way you do it. Whichever way is comfortable to you, just make sure you do it the same on both legs. So we're going to be doing 3 sets of 15 slow and controlled crunches on each side. I thought I'd include just a really short snippet of my HIIT cardio session after my ab workout. Now keep in mind that your HIIT cardio does not have to be sprinting on the treadmill. It can be any form of like plyometrics or beach sprints or whatever you want to do really to get your heart rate up at a maximum effort for a certain amount of time. I just specifically like to pair the cardio with the ab workouts just because the ab workouts are not as straining as a leg day would be, and I generally would not suggest doing a leg day and a HIIT cardio session on the same day. As you see, I'm just pushing myself off the handles and putting my feet on the side. A lot of treadmills actually do have interval settings to them, so it can slow down the ramp for you and you can just walk during this time. I thought I'd just add in a clip for anybody who wasn't familiar with the way it worked. This is just specifically how I do it, and you can do it any other way. Also, I'll generally up the speed as I progress into the time. So right now this is probably about a speed of 9.7 or whatever. I apologize that my head was cut off, but I hope that this cleared things up for anybody who wasn't sure how HIIT cardio worked. Anyway, that's all for the workout. Thank you so much for watching my first video, and I'll see you in the next one.